fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching. Thank you so much for giving us just a little bit of your time. Kesy's already started in. You know, we didn't have him the last episode. I don't think he showed up. One of the rare episodes where he doesn't grace us with his stench. But here he is, right off the jump. Can't even get the intro music out of the way before Kesy comes and does his thing. Go figure. Good thing we love Kesy, because we would probably have him murdered otherwise. Anyway, here to continue the discussions as we lead up to Deadpool and Wolverine, Deadpool 3, maybe the greatest cinematic masterpiece to ever come out of this, out of the MCU, at least out of this year anyway. It's going to be phenomenal, so we're breaking them all down one by one until we get to that next big one. We're here, of course, with Deadpool 2 with my hero life mate, Jeremy. What's up, brother?
I would just like to point out for the record that it is, in fact, Joe Biden's fault, the reason that we were late. So, thanks, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, it's to this point, it's gotten like that terrible accident on the highway. It's like, you know, it's bloody, you know, it's bad, you know, lives are lost, but as you're driving by it, probably late for work, you still slow down a little bit and go, what's going on over there?
That's just another bad day.
It's kind of what it's getting down to at this point. But, like, you know, it's like I was telling you before we went live, it's gotten to the point with this election that I'm pretty much where I'm at with Deadpool. I'm like, I don't need any more trailers. Just give me the movie. And now at this point, I'm like, I don't need another debate. Just give me the election. Let's just make this happen. Let's make whatever happens happen. But you know, that's in November. So
I was also you can tell how much effort I put into my name for tonight. I slapped a 2 on there, and just gonna be honest, that's just lazy writing.
Just lazy writing.
I had to put that somewhere because that was in the running for my quote, but I have to stick with the white pants. I'm sorry.
So, I stick with mine. I looked at it, I was like, that's gotta be it. Tech's not with us tonight. I think he got caught up a little late at work, but that's fine. We're gonna have him back for the rest of the month as we continue on with Twist Pool or Dead Twist Pool, whatever we're calling this month. But yeah, let's get right into it now as we continue the breakdowns of Deadpool 2. It is the 2018 American. I like how this time they call it an adult superhero film based on the Marvel Comics character Deadpool. Distributed by 20th Century Fox, it is a sequel to Deadpool and the 11th installment of the X-Men film series. The film was directed by David Leitch and written by Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, as well as Ryan Reynolds, who stars in the title role again, alongside Josh Brolin, Morena Baccarin, Julian Dennison, Zazie Beetz, T.J. Miller, Brianna Hildebrand, and Jack Kesy. In the film, Deadpool forms the X-Force to protect the young mutant from a time-traveling soldier known as Cable. Plans for a sequel to Deadpool began before the original film's release and were confirmed in February of 2016. Though the original creative team of Reynolds, Reese, Wernick, and director Tim Miller was set to return for the second film, Miller left the project in October of 2016 due to creative differences with Reynolds and was soon replaced by Leitch. An extensive casting search took place to fill the role of Cable, with Brolin ultimately being cast. Deadpool 2 premiered at Leicester Square in London on May 10th of 2018 and was released in the United States on May 18th of that year. The film outgrossed its predecessor, earning $785.8 million worldwide, becoming the 9th highest grossing film of 2018, the highest grossing film in the X-Men series. That's back-to-back Deadpool films that did that. And the highest grossing R-rated film at the time. Again, back-to-back Deadpool films that did that. Mm-hmm. The film received positive reviews from critics, with some considering it superior to the first film and praising its humor, cast, performances, story, and action sequences, while others criticized its tone, script, and recycled jokes. I find that stupid. Deadpool 2 grossed $324.6 million in the United States and Canada and $460.5 million in other territories for its worldwide gross, against a production budget of only $110 million. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 84% based on 422 reviews, with an average rating of 7.1 out of 10, with the website's critical consensus reading, quote, "Though it threatens to buckle under the weight of mega gags, Deadpool 2 is a gory, gleeful lampoon of the superhero genre, buoyed by Ryan Reynolds' undeniable charm." Of course he's charming. I mean, it's like every straight guy in the world wants to be with Ryan Reynolds. They don't care. They don't have to be gay. Every gay guy in the world wants to curl up next to Ryan Reynolds and cuddle. But Jeremy, again, it's really hard to pull off a good sequel these days, especially when the first movie blows up. And this movie, I mean, it's got to be right there amongst the most critically successful anyway. Give me some quick thoughts on the film before we get into the spoiler stuff.
Yeah, this just keeps the train rolling. Like I said, I had no complaints really about this movie. I don't get why they're complaining about, like, oh yeah, they recycled jokes. Like, okay, so, but one thing you want to do in a sequel, as I always say, is you want to go bigger. So, I mean, you get introduced to some more characters, and you put some pretty cool characters in their own right, like Josh Brolin as Cable, Zazie Beetz as Domino, and you get the kid Russell. And I mean, obviously, the namesake of my quote, you get Juggernaut, of course. So, yeah. And still, we were talking about like mixing, still having a good story, but also just still having the comedic talent and charm of, Deadpool played by Ryan Reynolds. So it's a pretty somber, I guess, as you could say, sounds kind of dark, as if you were in the, DC universe. But this time traveling soldier going back in time to try and save his daughter from being massacred. It's like, yeah, that's some pretty heavy stuff, but Deadpool, and he's just going to be that annoying. He's like the annoying sibling that's just like this, like, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. He's like 2 inches from your face. I'm not touching you. He likes to poke the bear, whatever size that bear may be, whether it's, Cable or it's some big dude like Juggernaut. But it's okay when you can't die. You just come back with some baby legs and give us a little bit of Sharon Stone with the legs, which we didn't ask for, but hey, thanks for that.
We didn't ask for it, but we didn't know we wanted it. That's the thing. I could have swore I had a picture of it. Oh, I kind of had a picture of him with baby legs. I guess I didn't. But I could have swore I had one.
We know what's going on here.
Yeah, we all know. We know
what's going on below the belt. Yeah.
But let's talk about the first thing that could have impacted this movie very negatively, but ended up working out okay. Going from Tim Miller to David Leitch. Again, it could have been kind of a disaster. It could have very much changed the chemistry of how this film came together. But I think it worked out very well in the end. When this news broke that they were going to be changing directors, especially after the creative differences line that they always give people. Did that make you worry about what this movie was going to be when this news first broke?
No, I didn't really. Nothing in it that was noticeable that seemed, different. I don't know. Like I said, it still feels like a logical next, installment of this franchise. So I don't know. It's a good thing, and I'm glad that it did work out. And it was still just, I can watch either of these movies, and like you and I watched this movie in particular not too long ago, but like I still laugh at it. I still laugh at the dumb shit in this movie, just as hard as I would if I watched the first one. So, no, like I said, this movie still works for me, and it's good when like I said, it could have fallen on its face and did not. So it feels like a good successor to it. And I think it's a part to do, like, we know that we can trust Ryan Reynolds with this this franchise as well, because he knows what he's doing. He made a popcorn bucket. Just it's a joke, and damn well he was just like, no, that we're doing that, and we're making it Wolverine. Like, yeah, of course it is. Yeah. Then like I said, I have no worries about 3 either, because you're gonna get 2 of the. Not only do we all just want to cuddle with Ryan Reynolds, like we all just want that bromance of him and Hugh Jackman. Like, these 2 guys, I love seeing them back and forth on the internet, just fucking poking at each other and shit. It's just a glorious thing to see, and I'm like, I can't wait for this. Like, I know there's gonna be some more fourth wall breaks and some meta humor coming, so I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm already hearing some crazy things out of like some screenings and stuff that they've been kind of like letting stuff leak out. But yeah, it's gonna be insane. For me, I kind of was a little concerned about it at first, but then I thought to myself, I was like, let's face it, unlike most movies, the driving force here is Ryan Reynolds. It's not the director. Yeah. So it's not necessarily can the director. It's like we saw it with the Star Wars trilogy, the newer one, different directors. There was no cohesive plan. It's like there was nobody involved in that felt really super passionate about telling 3 amazing stories like we got from the original trilogy. So, it's like I was like, the one big connective tissue you have to have here is Ryan Reynolds. If they would have recast Ryan Reynolds and gone to somebody else, or if Ryan Reynolds for whatever reason didn't want to do it, I'd have been like, oh yeah, I'm checked out. I don't want to do this.
Yeah, it's not going to be good.
But the reality is he is everything to this franchise. This cannot exist without Ryan Reynolds, and it's rare to find a character or a franchise like that. I mean, even Terminator has kind of figured out, well, we can do Terminator, but can we do it without Arnold? And the reality is they probably should have, at least the last couple anyway. But right now, Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. Is Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. You can't separate these two right now. So that's ultimately the important thing. Is there somebody out there that can work with Ryan Reynolds to be a part of bringing this whole vision together? And obviously, David Leitch was that guy who could do that.
Also, the important bit is with this new movie too. Like I'm pretty certain we were all sure that was the last time we were going to see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. And if you were going to sit here and tell me that this next movie is going to be Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm like, I don't know if I'd want anyone else. And I'm so glad. I'm like, I feel like he wouldn't have said no. I mean, come on, one of your best buddies says like, hey, come on, let's do a movie. We're gonna Deadpool and Wolverine. Let's go. I don't, because that's a big thing that everyone's talking about. Like, well, what if we kept going with Wolverine? If we had another version of him, or who would play him? And I'm like, I don't know where to begin with that. And I wouldn't want to recast. That's some big claws to fill, I guess, is a really creepy way to say that, but
it's a big pointy helmet to feel.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm again just to that same point. I'm glad that like again, I was like, I don't care how you do it, and if this is how you do it, this is the way. By putting it in this movie where you can just have fun with the rules don't really matter. It's like, yeah, when I first saw it, I'm like, why is everyone here? Why is the TVA here? Why is Wolverine here? You know what? I don't care. It happened, and I'm sure that's not the craziest thing we're going to see. So, thanks for Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, I am still really excited about the craziness this next movie is going to bring. But,
oh man, like I said in the chat, I will have to bring my white pants for the Wolverine, Deadpool and Wolverine. So
yeah, I'm going to have to clutch a jacket to my waist so the boner does not show through as clearly. But
try and get the popcorn bucket out of your lap. I know what you're doing.
I'm gonna stand up. The popcorn bucket isn't gonna move. It's just gonna pour over. It's gonna stick to my lap.
Man, that's some sticky butter you got there.
I'll be like, yeah, it's the butter. Yeah, it's the butter. It's totally what it is. But let's talk about the cast. I mean, obviously the big additions to this cast were what's his name? Jesus Christ. Where's Josh Brolin as Cable and Julian Dennison as Fire Fist. Fire Fist was his name. I mean, so pretty much the same cast, except for adding these two characters and kind of really rounding out this new, deeper story. What do you think of the cast, and who stood out to you the most?
I would say keep that picture for just 1 second. Can we not talk about just how badass he looks as Cable, and how fucking cool that gun is? I'm like, I know it's just a kit bash of like a bunch of different guns, but I'm like, but I believe that's like some futuristic bullshit gun that I would love to have like mounted on a wall somewhere. Man, I think it's cool. Yeah, like I said, expanding out the cast, and I think they nailed it. And as soon as I saw Josh Brolin, I'm like, well, there's gonna be some Thanos jokes in here. I know for damn sure there will be. Yeah, I'm not. Stupid Thanos. That's a great line. Yeah, and like, we also get a whole, we get X-Force, so can't be mad about that. I think I don't know if you asked me who I just stood out the most. I mean, obviously, I love Zazie Beetz' portrayal of Domino. I think she's still got that, like, I love the absolute confidence she has where she walks in there to sign up for X-Force, and she's just like, he's like, what's your power? I'm lucky. That's not a power. Yeah, it is. And I'm pretty sure it's not. No, I'm pretty sure it is. And then you just see it, it just kind of bullshit their way through everything. But hey, I wouldn't be mad about it. She wasn't lying. That's the money shot right there. Your whole X-Force team. Minus
a crew walking away from the explosion.
Well, minus a few. I think obviously my favorite's gonna be Peter, because he was really the glue that holds the X-Force together. And, poor Brad Pitt got electrocuted there at the last second. I knew that had to be in there somewhere, because that moment did make me laugh pretty damn hard. Where I was like, "Who the hell is this guy?" And I'm like, For a second, I thought it's gonna be like some stupid cameo for like a second, and yeah, sure as shit, I was right, and it's just Brad Pitt because why not?
You know, me and Cora talked about it when we did the review for Bullet Train. I don't know if you've seen that yet. Brad Pitt's movie Bullet Train.
I did, and I don't know if it was I don't know if it was the movie or if I was just really tired from work, but I fell asleep.
Ryan Reynolds has a cameo in that movie towards the end.
Oh,
because
really?
Because one of the storylines in there is that Brad Pitt gets this job in the movie kind of last minute, and it turns out that all this shit is going on because it was orchestrated by this one like Yakuza boss, played brilliantly by Michael Shannon, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And because the hitman that Ryan Reynolds is in the movie killed his wife, so he had it worked out to where he was going to get that assignment and he was going to kill that guy as well as 100 other people he wanted to kill. And it just so happened that Brad Pitt ended up getting the job instead. So at the end of the movie, when because at a couple of points in the movie, he's cussing this other hitman who you don't see. He's like, "Oh, this motherfucker, this asshole, whatever." And at the very end of the movie, it cuts to this one quick scene similar to what you see Brad Pitt in this of Ryan Reynolds doing the job. So he does the job that kills his wife, and you see him walking away from the exploding car, and that's like his entire cameo in the movie. And he had said that he did that cameo in part because Brad Pitt was cool enough to come do this cameo in Deadpool 2. So he was just like, if you need a quick cameo, let me know, I'll show up for it. So he was like, hey, you want to do this thing? He was like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I'll come do it. He was filming. What the hell was he filming? He was filming another movie when he filmed that cameo, and he popped in. I think he was filming maybe Red Notice or something like that. I forget exactly what he said he was filming, but he was filming something else nearby. So he was just like, I'll just roll over there real quick and walk away from an exploding car. That'll be the cameo. So it took all of like an hour to shoot or something like that.
You're right.
But yeah, I mean, the cast, again, it's where you really could have gone wrong was Cable. That was one you really needed to nail, because you have two anti-heroes in a movie, but you couldn't just have them both be in the movie doing their thing. Be kind of an antipode of one another. So for all of Deadpool and his focus on their objective, the way that they go about it is very different. Their tone is very different. Their attitudes are very different. They really are kind of the opposite of one another in the way they do everything. And then, of course, they spend half the movie fighting, which makes it a lot funner as well. But also, it's like he does play a much, because it's even in the first movie, every character was kind of not comedic, but they were almost likable in one way or another. Like Ajax is likable, Angel Dust is likable. I mean, there's reasons to like all these characters, so you don't really spend your time getting emotionally attached to anybody other than like Vanessa and Wade Wilson. But in this movie, much like he did with Thanos, Brolin does a good job of kind of, especially when it explains why he's there, why he's doing what he's doing, why he's got this kid. You start to kind of side with him at a different level a little bit. You say, hey, this movie's fun, sure. Wade Wilson's making jack-off jokes and putting, a bag of cocaine in his face and it hitting and explodes and he gets high. But at the same time, you had this weird emotional connection that had to be a little different than just doing the Vanessa and Wade thing again. And even though that worked out really well, that's what drives Wade. That wasn't what drove the entire movie like is what happened in the last movie. So that's one thing that could have gone way wrong. The other thing I like is I cannot tell you how much Julian Dennison works in this movie. I mean, he's you could have gotten the young, good-looking teenage kid from whatever the hell Nickelodeon or Disney Channel show was popular at the time and put him in there. But this kid looks like a kid that is in our neighborhoods. He looks very normal. He wasn't already a huge star. He kind of became one after this, of course. He got a lot more offers after this. But he's relatable in a way that they don't usually put people in these big movies. He's the kind of kid that, I could walk out on my street right now and see 2 or 3 of these kids walking down the street on their way to the park or whatever. I mean, he's one of those kids that fits into the real world, and I think he kind of hits you a bit differently as you're watching him. So I think adding those 2 cast members is fantastic, and of course Zazie Beetz is fantastic. I mean, she would go on to do Joker after this. She was brilliant in that. I thought as much as I like her in this movie, I think she was better in that Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix. Oh, yeah. I think she was doing a lot more real acting in this and not just kind of being a outlandish character like she is in this movie. But I also do like that they kind of let the love story between Vanessa and Wade be kind of what drives him, without it being the centerpiece of the movie.
Right, because she's kind of, dead.
Well, yeah, that's true. Spoiler alert, she dies 5 minutes in the movie, but, we
she died like right in the beginning, so.
Wade works it out. But, but that love that he feels for her is still something that drives him a lot, and what leads him ultimately to join the X-Force, or to join the X-Men initially in the movie, because he's not doing that because he wants to turn over a new leaf and be a good guy. He's doing it because he thinks that's what she would want him to do. He's still trying to please her, even though at this point she's gone. So that is something that still drives him a lot in this movie, and it's great to have his character still driven by that, because you could have just taken her out of the movie and not had her be a part of it all. And I wouldn't have, that emotional connection wouldn't have been there for Wade, and it would have been different. I don't think I would have watched this movie the same way. I probably still would have loved it. I still would have laughed at all the damn jokes. But, I mean, not having her still be his driving force, I thought was very important. And then, of course, Brianna Hildebrand. Yukio. Hi, Yukio.
Yukio. What the scissor fuck is going on here?
Oh, my goodness. I just love how they go balls out. But yeah, I mean, the casting in this was still brilliant. It was still awesome. I mean, nothing wrong with the people that they cast at all. That was the one I almost made the background, because that's one of the things that it really grabs you as you're watching, especially after he tells the story. Like, when that bears on the scene, it's just you fixate on it and your heart sinks a little bit. But the cast was again fantastic. I mean, I can't knock it at all. I mean, let's talk about the basic plot of the movie. I mean, again, I mentioned it. He's forms the X-Force to protect this young mutant from Cable, who wants to kill him, because in the future he's going to do something outlandish and crazy and terrible that's going to kill a lot of people. I mean, did this work for you? I mean, again, kind of an amalgamation of a couple of different comic book elements that they turned into a story for this movie. Did it work for you? Is there anything on this you would have changed?
Well, I know how much you love time travel, especially time travel in Marvel movies, like Endgame. But it doesn't bother me, but I think it works. It's the whole, Josh Brolin has seen some shit from a future that hasn't happened yet, so it is kind of a moral dilemma, of sorts, that you're just like, oh yeah, this chubby little kid with fire powers is basically going to destroy the entire planet, and in doing so, killing Cable's family. So yeah, it would get you kind of irked a little bit. As evident to the background right there. I mean, yeah, you don't want that kid going through puberty like that, just burning everything to the ground. So it works for me. It's because it's also the dilemma with time travel is like, yeah, but is it really going to change something, or is this, does this really matter, or is Back to the Future all just bullshit? I don't know. It's a fun story, and it's I know we said we'd spend most of the movie watching Cable and Deadpool kind of fight each other, but like, you do have to remember, like you said, they are two anti-heroes. It's not like Cable's really a bad guy. He's just, I almost just said Thanos. I'm like, well, yeah, it's kind of like Thanos. Like, well, I'm doing something, but kind of in an unorthodox way. Like, I'm going to go back and murder this kid, like a Terminator, pretty much. So, it's, it works with the fact that, Deadpool's trying to still appease his girlfriend who's dead, trying to, like, have a heart and do the right thing by trying to help this kid and, save the future of humanity, and die about 15 times in like one scene. He just can't let go. He's like, one more thing. Hold on. So, yeah, I mean, that even comes into question, like his mutation, where it's like, oh no, I'm actually going to die now. So stifling his powers to prove that, yeah, like, look, dude, I'm not going to let you kill this kid, and I'd rather die for him than have you do this for something that you may not. I mean, that could also cause problems. What if he goes back in time and kills his kid and something else happens? I mean, you don't know.
Yeah, another one where this movie could have gone wrong was a terrible plot. Because Deadpool, the first Deadpool, so good, so successful, had a good revenge story, which never goes wrong for a comic book movie, or for any movie for that matter. But I mean, giving it more of an action movie comic booky plot rather than just Deadpool going around getting revenge was something that worked out very, very well in my opinion. For one, you dropped something. Like I said, adding Cable as more additional weight was one thing, but feeling sorry for this kind of sad kid was something else. So it's like, you know what he ends up becoming. You hope that Deadpool's going to save him, but at the same time, you're like, if he doesn't, I know that some crazy chaos is going to still happen in this X-Men universe and whatever the hell universe they were at this point, because there's only 27 different timelines in the Fox stuff. But you know that there's high stakes. You know where it goes. It's kind of like, would they have been able to do something like this, like in the prequel trilogy in Star Wars? Would they have been able to try to go back to a prequel where you're changing the path of Anakin Skywalker? It's like, if that's not something they did in the prequels, which is a smart thing to do, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, can you do that in a movie this big, that's got this many eyes on it? Because, a lot of people didn't know what the first Deadpool was going to be. And when the first Deadpool comes out, it does what it does. Now there's expectations you got to meet. So if anything in this plot falls apart or misses, it's people are going to kind of look at it as a disappointment. And this is one of the areas where it could have gone wrong, is this kid and what they did around his character. I thought it was very good. Again,
you're kind of rooting for the kid too, because you're like, yeah, he was abused, and I'm like, I kind of want to see him torch this dude. I mean, the guy that ran the home. I'm like, yeah, but maybe don't go too far to be torch don't scorch the whole earth, man. Just maybe revenge isn't a good thing, but maybe this guy deserved it.
Just the school.
Yeah, right.
Only best buddies like see pedophiles together.
Exactly.
But yeah, and so yeah, I love the plot. I think there was the stakes in this plot in this movie were so much bigger, and I think they had to be, because you couldn't just do another rehash of I'm trying to get revenge on whoever Ajax's boss was in the first movie. You can't just kind of change the boss and kind of do the same formulaic shit. You had to make the stakes a lot higher in this one, and the future of the future of mutants, the future of this kid, Cable saving his family. And then, of course, everything that happens in the post-credit scene where he goes back and stops Ryan Reynolds from making Green Lantern. You're welcome, Canada. But yeah, so that was really important to make sure you got that plot element right. They did it in spades. I thought it was fantastic. But this movie again, and the ending. Did it stick the ending for you? Because I've heard some people say that they thought the ending was a little anticlimactic. I actually think that's 100% bullshit. I don't know why people think that, but I mean, did they stick the ending for you? Was there anything at the ending you would have done differently?
I wish I hated it, because they'd be like, "Oh, they stuck the landing about as well as Brad Pitt did right there." No, I don't hate the ending. I mean, it's like we said, you always want to leave wanting more, and of course, we're always going to want more Deadpool. So now that we know it's coming, I'm kind of wondering how that bridge is going to be gapped from this to the third movie. Maybe that could be, I know I'm still speculating about 3, but maybe that could be the reason why, for some reason, the TVA shows up like, hey, there was some time travel fuckery going on, in this last movie. So, maybe that's why they're coming down on him. So it still leaves stuff open for, more. Because again, as I'm going to say I said in the last one, I'm going to say in this one, and probably when we try to make some predictions, I have no goddamn idea what's going to happen, but that's the fun of it. So no, I didn't hate the ending.
Yeah, I don't know why people thought the ending was. I mean, I think it was more structured. I mean, rather than just being a one-on-one fight between Deadpool and Ajax, I thought the fact that it was more structured, that it was kind of a bigger battle, because it wasn't just a one-on-one. It was, you're fighting not Cable, but you're fighting this kid in a sense, because he's starting to lose his shit. You're fighting Juggernaut, who was hilariously done in this movie. You're also fighting the crazy teacher guy, who's obviously doing his thing to try to, make everything go his way. I thought it was better. I mean, for what this movie was, I thought it was a much better ending. It had to be a little bit bigger. It had to be different. It couldn't just be another one-on-one fight. And again, the main protagonist of the ending is the kid. So that gives you that moral dilemma of like, do I want them to defeat the kid? Do I want Cable to go ahead and destroy him? Do I want Deadpool to save him? Do I want the kid to win? Because, like you said, he's been a victim in all of this up to this point in the movie. It's like who do I root for? It's like they're all bad guys. They're all good guys. You're like, I'm so confused right now. Who do I want to win and lose this? And I think it made the ending a lot funner to watch.
I mean, that is in fact not lazy writing. That I'm like, you can make me kind of like understand and sympathize with each of these characters. Like, yeah, the kid's kind of right. I mean, I would have burned the orphanage down, drove a bus through it or something, whatever. That's what Domino did, but hey, you get the job done. In Cable, it's like, man, he lost his whole family because of this kid. So you're kind of like, well, maybe it's a greater good that, he's trying to make sure he doesn't burn the rest of the world down, literally. And yeah, like you said, Deadpool's still driven by, the loss of his girlfriend and still trying to, do the right thing because he's trying to. I love the metaphor of like there's that wall that he just can't get through to get to her in the afterlife or whatever that dream sequence is. So it's just wild that you made me root for like 3 different people who all have 3 different like motives. That's insane. So, well, good on you guys.
Yeah, and also let's be honest, the continued marketing brilliance of Ryan Reynolds with this character.
Yeah,
I don't know how he does it. I'm serious. I don't know. He's got to have somebody locked away somewhere at his house in Canada, and he's like, "You can't see daylight again until you help me market all these movies awesomely and give me great ideas." I mean, this video that he put out with like the Bob Ross Deadpool shit was one of the funniest things I have ever seen anybody do to market a movie. I don't know if it could be beat. I mean, what do you think of the marketing? Honestly, we can review this trailer alone by itself and get crazy views because it was so funny. I mean, the continued marketing, what are your thoughts on that?
As I said in the first one, I mean, you could slap Deadpool onto anything, onto any movie, to any character, any like pop culture like icon of something, like this, like with Bob Ross. Like, and you're not gonna be mad about it. You're just like, yeah, because you understand. Because again, this is a fourth wall breaking character where it's almost like you understand, like you get it, like you like Bob Ross, right? Like we all love Bob.
I still watch Bob Ross videos. I'm not gonna lie. I'll stumble across one every now and again on YouTube, and I'll just watch it as background noise. I'm like, yeah, this motherfucker can paint. There's a really good documentary about him that I watched not too long ago as well. I forget what streamer it was on, but it was really interesting. Yeah, that's what I do. I used to just fall asleep to Bob Ross. I'd put a video on and let it kind of just run, and that's just some of the most soothing shit that'll put you right to sleep. That's you sleep with the happy trees and the happy clouds. Everybody needs a friend, Yeah, there's no limit to what this guy does for the marketing. I'm telling you. I'm trying to look it up real quick. I saw it when I was doing some stuff last night to get ready for this, and I didn't write it down, and I should have. I don't know if you remember the colors that he, because like how the old Bob Ross would actually list the colors at the bottom of the screen that he was using. All the colors that he was using had a funny name, and I'm trying to remember what the hell they were. Of course. I'll see if I can pull this up real quick. But we'll move on to a little bit of
those Bob Ross videos. I can probably tell you what all the Bob Ross.
It's like I know one of them was Betty White because Deadpool was like, we talked about in the first movie, he was wearing a shirt with B. Arthur's face on it from the Golden Girls. So I mean, why not Betty White? And B and Arthur are the name of his 2 katanas. So I mean, yeah, it's just that's just how it is with Deadpool. But I'll see if I can find those colors. But moving into some trivia now, real quick. Again, there's a ton of trivia, and I was hoping to have 3 people on here tonight to go through all this. I still ended up with probably 15 pieces of trivia. That I tried to stick to the shorter ones because I don't like reading the long ones unless they're important. But the footage of X-Men Close the Door was actually shot on the set of X-Men Dark Phoenix and sent over to the Deadpool 2 crew.
That's well, at least the house wasn't empty this time.
Couldn't afford any more X-Men.
It's like you can't afford any. It's like studio couldn't afford any more X-Men. It's weird you guys live in this house. It's just empty all the time.
Let's see. But you know what? Though, that's a cool scene because like I said, for all the for all the shit about Deadpool not really being part of the X-Men universe, even though it kind of is and not. I mean, whatever. I mean,
we're literally getting Wolverine in the next movie. What do you want?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I read somewhere they wanted Wolverine in this movie. and there was, because this came out before Logan, so I mean, at that point, Jackman wasn't really, he hadn't announced anyway that he was. I think it did, didn't it? No, it didn't. It came out after.
Yeah, because he was like, he's like, that little fucker stole the like highest grossing R-rated movie from me. What an asshole!
Right. But yeah, I guess there had always been talks about making Wolverine a part of this franchise in the beginning, but for various reasons didn't work out. But let's see, Josh Brolin, Jesus Christ, Josh Brolin, the guy who plays Cable. Now, read into this what you will for the future of the franchise. I don't know what this means. I have a feeling we're going to see Cable in Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't think he's going to play the kind of role he played in this movie, but I think anyway. Josh Brolin actually signed a 4-film deal to play Cable and described his appearance here as just the introduction for the character, with 3 more movies to reveal more of who he is.
Oh, shit.
Now, again,
I don't know what that means.
I don't. Now, look, let's make something very clear here. Just because somebody signs a contract for X amount of movies doesn't mean that they're actually going to star in that amount of movies. They can be bought out of that contract. Very famously, actually, the fucking guy that played Harvey Dent in the first Batman movie, Billy D. Williams. Billy D. Williams.
Which one? You mean Billy D? Yeah.
Yeah, Billy D. actually had to be bought out of his contract so that Tommy Lee Jones could come in and play Two-Face, because he had signed
so hard.
Yeah, that's good. That would have been bad. But
I would have. That's what she'd never seen 89 Batman, and she knows who Harvey Dent is. She saw Billy D. as Harvey Dent. She's like, "Was he gonna be Two-Face?" I'm like,
"What could have been?"
No.
What could have been?
I'm like, we can only imagine, dude. I'm like, she's like, no. I'm like, I know. We were absolutely robbed of that. That would have been fucking phenomenal.
But yeah, so there's one. I mean, because I know a lot of people with Deadpool now belonging in the MCU. This Deadpool 3, his first official foray into the MCU. He's officially part of Phase 5, by the way. Marvel has come out and said that Deadpool and Wolverine is a part of Phase 5 of the MCU. So there's 3 other movies. Like I said, I have a feeling that Josh Brolin is in this movie as Cable, at least for a moment. I don't think it would have hurt to do that. But I mean, a 4-film deal, and there's plenty you could do with the character still. I feel like there's more Josh Brolin as Cable to come.
They'll go somewhere with that, yeah.
I think they probably will. I mean, if they don't, I get it, because technically speaking, they've also said that while this film is the 3rd Deadpool film, but it is not how do they say it? It is not a sequel to the first 2 films. Whatever that means.
Is it like the weird, because it isn't actually numbered Deadpool 3? We just keep calling. I mean, it's just called Deadpool and Wolverine. That doesn't mean it's 3, so to speak.
I know that's. I mean, again, maybe the movie will explain it. Because look, one of the nice things about this movie is that he can, in a direct line of dialogue, say, "Yeah, those first 2 movies didn't count. We're in the MCU now," and that's how they explained that those first 2 movies are not part of Deadpool canon that we're going to be getting in the future. I don't know.
Like I said, but I'm ready for the meta jokes. I really am.
Yeah, no, they're going to be all over the place. All over the place. But, an interesting fact, at the time of its release, Julian Dennison, who plays Fire Fist, was 15 years old and thus was ineligible to see this film in his homeland of New Zealand due to its R16 rating, meaning that you could not get into the theater unless you were over the age of 16.
That sucks. But on the flip side, you lived it. So, I mean...
True.
To be fair, I mean, it's different than, like, it's not just going to be in chronological order, and it's not like you filming or you acting in it. It's like seeing it is different, but you got to live it, man. So, I don't know. And the way the crazy thing about age is, it does go up. So, I'm sure he's seen it by now.
Well, the funny thing is it premiered in London. So, he probably was at the premiere in England. Or at least got to see a premiere like in LA or something at the theater, either Kodak or Man's Chinese Theater. But to go see it in his own homeland, he had to wait a year, which is kind of funny in itself. But the playground that they fight in at the end of the movie was in another important movie. That was actually the same one used for Sarah's nightmare scene in Terminator 2: Judgment Day.
Son of a bitch. Like I said, when I mentioned, like, thinking about it, like, Cable is essentially, it's the Terminator, plot line. It's, you send this guy back in time to kill a child who's, well, in their case, the savior of humanity, and in this one, it's someone who's going to burn the world down. So, kind of on the nose, little bit of Judgment Day in there for you.
I'm pretty sure I had a picture of Cable's watch in here. At least I thought I did.
Would have been kind of funny if like you just saw Sarah Connor like on the fucking.
Yeah, there's his watch right there. So I'll go to that for the next one. Cable's time machine is an actual watch that was branded by a real life Swiss watchmaker named Carl F. Bashir.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I mean, talk about going the extra mile for a killer prop.
You could have just made that a prop, but no, man, that's.
I would imagine they only made probably 2 or 3 of those, which would make them worth a shit ton of money.
Well, I was gonna say that thing is worth some damn money. Then, yeah.
I mean, even if it was just a prop that some prop master threw together for the movie, I mean, Jesus.
But the fact that there's actual working versions of that thing, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, you were talking about Cable's gun earlier. Let me pull that back up. Let's see. Cable's gun has a dial that resembles the dial on an amplifier. The dial goes from 0 to 11. This is a reference to the famous "These Go to 11" scene in This Is Spinal Tap from 1984.
These all go up to 11. Why not just make that the highest? Because these all go up to 11.
It says 11. It goes up to 11.
That's a great movie. Yeah,
I haven't seen that movie in so long. That's one that we got to revisit that one. I think at some point.
That's a good retro review right there.
That's a classic. Oh my goodness! I mean,
I saw.
We'll make Tex review that because he doesn't like the British comedy. That's very much in the vein of the British comedy.
Yeah,
it's an American movie, but it's in the vein of like a good British comedy.
I've seen somebody, if not on the Internet Movie Firearm Database, I saw somebody either make a prop of his gun, and it's like you can kind of see it. Like there's like a Thompson submachine gun, like wood stock, and there's like a big. Look like a 50 cal like muzzle, like a big 50 cal muzzle brake on
that
like
muzzle brake is definitely a 50 cal.
Yeah, that's like from a Barrett. There's there's a big scope on that bitch, and then there's like I don't know if it's a flashlight or what other futuristic bullshit that's on that gun, and also like you said the dial. But I'm just like I said, that's just a cool looking movie gun. In fact, I'm gonna look it up now because IMDb will at least give me here. It's this gun, this gun, this gun, this gun, this gun, like. All these different parts. So
let's see. Let me get to this. The bloody teddy bear. The bloody teddy bear was originally a bloody T-shirt, but David Leitch suggested the bear instead. The others were unsure at first, but came to love it as an image of innocence being corrupted.
The bear hits a lot harder than just like a T-shirt. It would just look like a bloody rag hanging off of him. Like okay, but like. That's inherently something personal to his family, namely his daughter. It's like seeing it scorched like that and him keeping it as like a reminder you don't even need to say anything. That just hits the right way.
Yeah, that also plays into, I was saying earlier about how he made Cable almost a very emotionally attached character the same way he did Thanos. It's like you feel for this guy. I mean, you kind of understand what Thanos is trying to do, but this time it's not even that big, but it feels bigger. He's not trying to save half the universe. He's trying to save one person, and it feels so much bigger because it's such a more internalized thing about his daughter. Just so crazy. But yeah, I mean, I agree. The teddy bear was a much better way of doing that. I don't know how you would have pulled that off with a T-shirt. Like you said, just having a piece of torn shirt, it would just look like a sash. And every comic book villain or whoever wears a sash of some kind. So. I don't think it would have hit the same. The teddy bear is definitely it's much more of a visual, something that catches your eye a lot differently. But that Matt Damon was in this movie. For his cameo, Matt Damon, right? Yeah, Matt Damon wore face prosthetics and a fake belly to make him unrecognizable. I didn't get a picture of him. That's why I'm throwing this one up. But I love the fact that he did this. He did that cameo in Thor: Love and Thunder. Thor the Dark World. For the Dark World, he played that play version of
which is the Kevin Smith deep cut, if you know what that means. So why that joke is funny.
Exactly, but I love seeing all these guys. I think, as a matter of fact, I remember reading somewhere last night that Ryan Reynolds had run into Matt Damon at a party, and just kind of like threw out the idea of, hey, you want to come do it? I'm getting ready to make Deadpool 2. Do you want to come in a cameo? And he was like, sure, why not? So he scribbled out like a scene one day at home, and then like called Matt Damon, was like, "What do you think of this?" It's like, "Oh, that sounds great. Let's do it." And they just put it in the movie. Like that.
Ryan Reynolds just asked me to be in a movie, I'd be like, yeah, fuck it, I don't care.
It's like when you networked with the right people in Hollywood, your career's fucking made. It's like you don't even have, and I'm not talking about like the producers and the studio heads. It's like, because right now Ryan Reynolds is one of the hottest, if not the hottest guys in Hollywood for various reasons. So it's like if he says, "Hey, how about you come do some stupid scene in Deadpool 5?" You're like, "Yes." I don't care what it is. The answer is 100% all day, every day. Yes. I don't care if it's embarrassing. I don't care if I have to stand on camera naked. Absolutely, I want to be in this movie so bad. Why would you do it? It gets your own shit out there in Hollywood. But I don't know if you noticed across the bottom of the screen. I don't know if I have a good picture of this or not, so I'm going to put this one up. Let's see. The filmmakers came up with the joke, Christopher Plummer refuses role in Deadpool 2 after admitting that TJ Miller would not be removed from the film. I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but as the film was in post-production and very close to release, TJ Miller got into a little bit of trouble. He ended up part of the whole Me Too thing in Hollywood, and some things were alleged. I don't know if he did them or not, alleged. But then for some reason, beyond any comprehension, he called in a bomb threat at LAX. I don't know why. This all happened relatively quickly. And because Deadpool was in post-production, they didn't want to have to reshoot any of the scenes. They were just kind of like, look, he's in the movie. We're going to go ahead and release it. There's whatever, and he's just not going to be anything moving forward. So that's why that joke was put in, because Christopher Plummer actually took over a role that Kevin Spacey had in a movie after Kevin Spacey's stuff all popped off. And so that was the joke, why they said Christopher Plummer refuses role in Deadpool 2, assuming that he would have come in and taken over TJ Miller's role. But yeah, I thought that was a funny little in joke that I was like, I get it. If you know the inner workings of Hollywood, you know. But let's see. Gina Carano was actually set to reprise her role as Angel Dust before director Tim Miller left the project. That would have been fun to see her come back.
We just keep robbing the world of Gina Carano, and it just keeps pissing me off.
Well, they're going to pay one of these days. One way or another, they're going to pay.
I hope so.
I mean, I hope so too. I love her. Now, let's think of what could have been with cable for just a moment. Some of the names that are getting thrown around, or that had been thrown around: Dolph Lundgren, Mel Gibson, Kurt Russell, Bruce Willis, Alec Baldwin. That didn't age well.
That didn't age well.
Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Stephen Lang, Ronald Perlman, Pierce Bronson, and David Harbour were all considered for the role of Cable.
I think I heard about something about. Oh, I saw a thing from Ron Perlman where he talked about that. He's like, "This little scrawny fucker got this over me," or something. I was like, I think he was just kidding. It wasn't like mad. It was like, now that would have been a pretty cool one to see. I think Arnie would have just been funny for the fact that, like, yeah, it's basically just Terminator.
Oh, that and the jokes comparing him to like Sub-Zero from one of those terrible Batman movies. I mean, Ryan Reynolds could have written an hour of joke about that one.
He still could have said like the line, like, "Man, you're so dark. You sure you're not from the DC universe? Chill out, man." He could have said like, "Yeah, chill out," or something like that. Like,
it's like some of these names I can kind of get behind, like Dolph Lundgren. Maybe. Because his career kind of went through a pretty good resurgence after the Expendables movies got big. Mel Gibson, I'm not so sure about.
No,
I feel like these days he's better directing than he is acting. Not that I wouldn't like to see another Lethal Weapon movie, which I've heard is still something that's floating around
somewhere out there.
But Kurt Russell would have been interesting because
he's been kind of fun.
He's incredible. I mean, I'm not saying he's old. He's not old, but I don't know if he could have pulled the physicality off the way that the way that Brolin did. Bruce Willis, prior to his health stuff, could have been interesting, but I think even then, Bruce Willis, I think, was kind of past the point where he could do stuff like that. It's like seeing him like John McClane is something he could have pulled off. Like if they wanted to try to squeeze out one more egg from the golden goose that has been the Die Hard franchise, but I mean maybe, but I think he would have played. I think he would have played a different Cable, probably not nearly as brooding. I don't think he could have brooded the way that Brolin did. Alec Baldwin, no thanks. I mean, look, prior to all the stuff that's going on now,
still no.
I still don't know that he would have fit the role very well. No. Stallone, maybe. I mean, Stallone is one of the ones that intrigues me because Stallone has always had a bit of a comedic side that he's never really tapped into the same way.
He's got that, like,
as well as he has other stuff.
But he's got that like badass, like where he's like I'm not joking right now. I'm not fucking around with you, dude. Like, he would absolutely just start kicking your ass. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Schwarzenegger, no thanks. I've seen Arnie in Get Ups too many times for movies like this. I'm just done. I mean, I
It would've
can't
been
anymore
funny.
with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Stephen Lang, that's a possibility. I mean, as much as I was not a fan of the first Avatar movie, he's kind of badass. I mean,
Yeah.
I could have seen Stephen. I mean, even though he is a little bit older, I mean, he's got a
He's still
presence
got it.
that he's got the same kind of presence as Brolin. Perlman, I think, would have been interesting. I
Perlman
mean,
would have been really cool.
look, we've already seen him as Hellboy a couple of times. He's fantastic in Hellboy. Sons of Anarchy, obviously.
Sons of Anarchy.
He's got that presence. Pierce Bronson, I don't think so. He's too James Bond. I have a tough time seeing him do anything other than Bond these days.
Well, he did a good job as Dr. Fate, I thought. That was kind of
He
cool,
was.
but it's not.
But he wasn't
That's
playing Cable. Like Dr.
I know,
Fate
like, that's
was
different.
he was a very cerebral, very elegant character. And that kind of plays to Pierce Bronson, the British accent and all that stuff. But to see him play the hard-nosed, brooding killer that is Cable, I don't know that I could have seen it that way.
No, but like, given the fact that he was Bond, I mean, maybe. But tap into that a little bit.
Yeah, the other one is David Harbour. I mean, I could have seen that. I mean, because this was early Stranger Things. One of the things that
Stranger
bothers
Things
me
has been
about
on TV for like 20 years now. So
I know that's one of the things that bothers me about some of the streaming services, TV shows that are big. It's like we go 3 years between seasons. It's fucking retarded.
They were like fetuses, and then season 2, they're like fucking with careers and they're middle aged. I'm like, what?
Yeah, but I mean, David Harbour would have been interesting because I mean,
we just saw him kicking ass as Santa. Like, he's still got that like
yeah, he's got it.
That brooding, like, tough badass guy, but he's still funny. He's still,
and I'm sure he's going to kick more ass in this next season of Stranger Things. So he's going to continue to be Hopper. But I mean, he's also a pretty good actor. The thing I saw him in before Stranger Things, the only thing I remember seeing him in before Stranger Things was he was in a TV show, The Newsroom. Mm-hmm. He played one of the news anchors, and it's more of a dramatic role. He's still kind of good looking and cut. I mean, he's a news guy, so he's got the square jaw and the good looks and all that. But he wasn't like as bulky and as like gruff like we see him as Hopper. He wasn't as built up as we saw him like in Black Widow as Red Agent or whatever the hell he is. But I think he could have pulled it off. Yeah. I think he could have pulled it off because he spends all of his time as Hopper kind of brooding in front of the camera. So I think if he could have focused that a little bit more, I think it would have been interesting. But ultimately, I think we got the right guy. But another one who could have been Cable, and this is the one that really gets me. Michael Shannon was actually considered for the role of Cable, but withdrew his name due to scheduling issues. Thank God he did Zod instead of this. I mean, Michael Shannon would have been good in this, but I think we were so much better off getting him as Zod. Much better off with that.
Still dark and broody from the DC universe, man.
Oh yeah, exactly. But and just like the last movie, the F word is dropped plenty of times in this movie. Just take a guess. I mean, the last one was 79 times. I'm going to put the over/under on this one at 85. Do you think it was higher or lower than 85? The number of times the F word is used in this movie.
Since it's got time travel, we're going to go over at 88 miles an hour.
88 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Good guess. Very close. One of the closest guesses you've made without getting it exactly. The word fuck is said 90 times in this movie.
Why did my mind say 90? And I'm like, no, go for the dumb joke, idiot. Like, yeah, okay.
Lazy thinking.
Fair enough.
Lazy thinking. But that's one of like the side bets that we should make on Deadpool 3. Like, how many times has the F-bomb dropped in this movie?
Oh God.
We should all just put $10 in and be like, winner take all. Whoever closest without going over. And Jerry would be like, $1, Bob.
I will seriously. $1, Bob.
I don't. That number's way too high for me to even guess. But
sometimes it works. Sometimes it works.
But Doug Leitch actually took a shot at himself. Doug Leitz's credit gag in the opening sequence is, quote, one of the guys who killed the dog in John Wick. His credit is also synced with these stacks of tokens falling in the background, a clear reference to those films' usage of special metal coin currency.
That's awesome.
Hey, this is the movie where you make fun of yourself. You make fun of everything.
Yeah. Like, you just got to have fun with it and realize just some of the ridiculous shit that you've done.
But yeah, that was what I liked. The one of the guys who killed the dog in John Wick. it's like because we always talk about why'd you kill the dog in John Wick. It's like David Leitch was the guy that really ultimately did it. So let's hate him. But talk about who could have directed this movie. I don't know, Jeremy. This is one of those things where I kind of cringe a bit, even though I love this director. There was actually a fan petition that was circulated to try to get them to hire Quentin Tarantino to direct this movie. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know
if he fits. I don't know if he fits for this quite so much. I don't know. If you kind of think about it, I mean, if you think about stuff like Kill Bill or Django, or I could just list his whole filmography and say that a lot of them are just off the walls bonkers, almost in some kind of comic booky fashion. I don't know. I don't know if that would have worked.
His directorial style, while I love it, and I think in almost every movie he's done, he's given his directorial style a different dimension. I don't know if it would have worked in this particular movie because in part because, like I said, Ryan Reynolds quarterbacks the Deadpool stuff, and I don't know if Quentin Tarantino would have come in and been like Reynolds and like, we'll collaborate in a way that I've never collaborated with another actor before. I think he'd be a little too headstrong and want to do Deadpool his way rather than just say, hey, Ryan, this is your thing. I'm going to let you do it. I'm just going to yell action, kind of help, and kind of like be your right-hand man. I don't think Tarantino would have done that. So I shudder to think what this movie could have been if it would have been one of those movies that was made when there was like a big divide between him and Reynolds. Or maybe it would have been brilliant. The MASH film from 1970. They said a million times they tried to get Robert Altman fired from that movie more times than they can remember, and they ended up not doing it. And Donald Sutherland, rest his soul, had even said over the years, he's like, I'm glad we didn't. It was like because that movie worked out exactly the way we wanted it to work out in the end. So I'm kind of glad we didn't get fired. But yeah, I can't see Quentin Tarantino doing that. If it would have been Tarantino from the jump, maybe. But like I said, Ryan Reynolds from day one has been what has driven Deadpool, and I don't know if he would have wanted to work with Ryan Reynolds like that. But I don't know, maybe not. Let's see. One more pre-show trivia I've got for you. Picture. Deadpool, played by Ryan Reynolds, refers to Cable, Josh Brolin, as One-Eyed Willie when he says, "Give me your best shot, One-Eyed Willie." One-Eyed Willie was the pirate character in The Goonies in 1985, which also starred an 18-year-old Josh Brolin.
See, like you were saying with like the stuff with like T.J. Miller and all, it's like all these jokes. It's like if you know, even like the deep cut shit like that. Like I didn't even think about that until just now. I'm like, oh, yeah. See, he knows what he's doing with these jokes and with these movies. Like you said, he's kind of the passionate driving force behind it, and I think that's where some of it probably comes from. So, that's when you can look at stuff like that and know that, yeah, this guy, he knows the vision of what kind of movie he wants to see and all the jokes that we're going to make out of it. So,
but there's lots. I don't know that we're going to get a chance to really do a prediction show for Deadpool 3 the way that I wanted to do it. So let me ask you a couple of questions now. There has been some rumors floating around that this is not the last time we're going to see Hugh Jackman as playing Logan or Wolverine in the MCU. That there is a good shot, and he is now more open to the idea of playing Logan in further films. Do you think that's going to happen, or do you think that they are ultimately going to recast the role?
Yes, I would love for Hugh Jackman to forever play Wolverine till the end of time, but there is going to come a time. I don't know what his plans are, but it's like I said, it couldn't have been like a really hard conversation to convince him to come back as Wolverine, especially in a Deadpool movie. So I don't know. We did say that Logan is kind of in its own little world, because it's like it didn't happen in the X-Men timeline, the albeit convoluted timeline that we saw from X-Men, but I don't know. And it even seems like this Wolverine is like another variant of some sort, because obviously he's wearing the suit more akin to the 97 version of Wolverine with the yellow and blue. So, as much as Frank loves time travel, he also loves multiverses. So it's not like you have an infinite pool of, this character you can just keep pulling from. But maybe just don't overdo it. But I'm not gonna be, like I said, I'm not gonna be mad if he comes back.
Well, John Campion pointed this out today when he was talking about stuff, because somebody had asked him about it, and he pointed out he made a good point. He said when Logan came out, he probably was at that point saying, you know what, I'm 100% done playing Wolverine or Logan. I've 20 years now I've been doing this. I'm not 35 or whatever he was when he first started playing Logan back in X-Men back in 2002 or whatever it was.
It was like 2000, I think, actually.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah.
He's not that young anymore. Eating 5 chicken breasts every meal, 3 meals a day, and doing all the heavy weights. He gets to a point where, like I said, when you're 35 or 40, it's one thing, but when you're 55 or whatever, it's not as easy as it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
But he also pointed out something, the recent unpleasantness, and it sucks to have this happen. But since then, he's gotten a divorce. And he said that when you have significant changes in your life like that, your priorities can change, your desires for what you want to do with your life can change. So maybe, after that whole divorce thing, it's settled. So, and remember, it wasn't one of those Hollywood marriages that last for 15 minutes. Like, him and his wife have been together for like 35 years.
I was going to say.
Like, they had been married since before X-Men, since before, when he was still just a song and dance man from Australia.
Mm-hmm.
He was
the greatest showman, as it were.
Yeah, when he was basically just a stage actor. So it's like, so when that happens, it can change your priorities in the way and what you want to do with your life. So maybe he's thinking to himself, you know what? Logan and Wolverine is like this great thing that has happened to me. I kind of want to like immerse myself into this a little bit more. Now that I don't have my marriage to dedicate my time to. Maybe now I have more time to dedicate to this. And on top of that, if you're Hugh Jackman, you're looking at it, you're like, I don't have to carry a franchise anymore. Because a lot of people were kind of questioning why he would even come back and do Deadpool and Wolverine after saying goodbye to the character, such a great send off. And it's like, well, why wouldn't he? He can do this for 100% fun now. It's like, because after the first X-Men movie, he became so huge, especially in the role, that like all the marketing was around him. It's like everything was about what is Wolverine going to do in this movie, not what's going to happen to the characters. It became all about him. And then eventually, of course, the Wolverine standalone movies and stuff like that. And then, so he's like, now I can be Wolverine and I don't have to carry the MCU the way I was carrying the Fox X-Men universe. So
when you think of X-Men, you think of Wolverine.
So now I can do this and I can play with it and have fun with it and not feel the pressure to be the one who brings $500-600 million movies in, or to make these movies everything I need them to be so that people will come watch them. They're coming to see Ryan Reynolds, they're not coming to see him. So the pressure's all off him. He's playing with house money at this point. So it kind of makes sense. You know what I mean? And to top it off, some of the people that were complaining about, like, oh, he had such a great ending in Logan, why would you come back at all? One of the things I thought was interesting was
it's not the same universe for one thing.
When they first had the big thing where him and Ryan Reynolds on the couch, the whole announcement that Wolverine was coming back and all that, kind of lost in how funny and awesome that whole experience was. Is the fact that Ryan Reynolds takes this moment to straight face, no joking, look at right at the camera and say, for those of you wondering about how things ended in Logan, we are not touching that. There was no joking about him. There was no smile on his face. He said straight out, we are not touching that. That is a great ending. We are not going to besmirch that at all. And I thought it was really, and it jumped out at me when that first happened. He said that with a 100% straight face. There was no joking anything about it. He was like, no, we are not touching that. That's how seriously I take that as a fan, that we are not going to sully that in any way. We're doing something totally different. It's a different version of Wolverine. That thing ended the way it ended, and we're just going to let that be because it was so great. Yeah. And him making that very bold proclamation, followed up by all the great stuff like him and Hugh Jackman, the whole thing they did, I thought was very telling. I thought it was him taking very seriously the fact that they did not want to say we're bringing Wolverine back. We're just going to have a Wolverine in the movie, and with variants and shit like that existing in the MCU now. There's like kind of a built-in way to do all that without fucking around with everything that we got from Logan. Now they can bring back the Wolverine from one of the other crappy movies. I don't care, and they can have fun with that all they want. But leave the Logan that was in that movie alone. But yeah, I
give us the bone claws back, damn it.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, Jeremy. We're 2 weeks actually. 2 weeks from today is when the is when the movie is going to come out. Tex, you've got the link if you want to jump in and kind of kick it with us here for a little bit. But I mean, 2 weeks from today, there is rumored to be at least one more trailer dropping between now and when the movie hits. Some people thought it might be today. Most people think it'll be within the next week that we're going to get our official final trailer. I don't know. Are they going to tell us anything different about the movie? Because remember, the trailers we've gotten so far have told us absolutely nothing about what the basic plot of the movie is. It's just a lot of Wolverine and Deadpool being Wolverine and Deadpool. The plot of the movie has been, I mean, they kind of told us he's trying to save his world, but past that, we know nothing. Do you think this final trailer is going to give us a good look at what the actual plot of this movie is?
Well, I wouldn't want to give away or ruin too much of, what it's going to be. I would love to just walk in there kind of not knowing, because it does seem like generic stuff. Well, I say generic, but, where he's yelling at Wolverine like, your world went to shit or something like that. But it's like, but I need you right now, like to save this one or something, where there's going to be some cross-dimensional shit going on, which I'm like, okay, there's a lot of room to play with that. So maybe not say something about the story, but maybe you could give us a little hint or tease as to someone else who might be in this movie or something. I don't know, because I know the whole thing is labeled Wolverine and Deadpool. It's like, yeah, we know that. I don't know. Maybe another character cameo or something that might give us. It still may not. You could put anybody in there, and it's not something that's going to give it away. I mean, there's that shot of them like jumping through a portal. I'm like, that portal looks suspiciously like Doctor Strange's portal. So I'm like, does that mean? I mean, like, see, you did it without showing me him, but I'm kind of like, that's suggesting that Doctor Strange might be involved in this too, which would make sense. I'm still waiting for. We didn't really talk about it much, but I actually liked the What If series, and it kind of. As much as it seemed like all separate stories, and I'm like, oh, then it all just collapsed in on itself, and it was actually all one big thing with the Watcher. I'm like, give me the Watcher, like actually on the big screen in this movie. Like, I just want to have, two big eyeballs in the sky, like just overwatching this whole fuckery going on. Now, in a Deadpool movie, I don't know. What?
then you have to pay it off by having the Watcher actually show up on screen at some point.
But that's what I'm saying. I would love to see the Watcher on screen.
But we'll ask somebody else. We'll ask our man Tex. The Chef from Lone Star State is finally joining us right now. Let me mess around with a couple of cameras real quick. My man Tex, what's up, brother? How you been?
I'm kind of mad at Deadpool because I took his lesson from last week of maximum effort. And when you do that at work in real life, they expect more of you. I don't like this. So
you didn't
I'm not going to get it. Yeah, I tried the whole superhero landing, and they just, then you get to do other people's jobs. But yeah, what's up, everybody? Sorry for my absence, but I'm sure Frank and Mr. Captain Grimpool 2, Electric Boogaloo, whatever his name is this week, is holding it down.
I can fit that in there. I tried. I really did try.
Right. But yeah, no, it's so what was your question, Frank? I'm sorry.
Jeremy and I were just talking about whether Logan is going to continue on in the MCU and whether you think that's a good idea or not. Do you think it's a good idea for Hugh Jackman to maintain the role moving forward in the MCU, or do you think it needs to be?
I think we get him at least in Avengers 5 and 6, considering that Secret Wars, and Kevin Feige is going to have him there for that. If not for anything, just to finally have Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man interacting with Hugh Jackman Wolverine to pay off two plus decades worth of cinematography that has happened over the years. As far as the future, I don't see. Could it happen? Sure. I mean, do you want to see Wolverine in a wheelchair? I mean, how old is Hugh Jackman? He's 50 plus, I believe. I'm not real sure.
Yeah, but me
I
pushing
don't know.
50 is not in the same shape as 50-something-year-old
him
Hugh
being
Jackman
50.
who takes care of himself.
Right, but we'll see. Here's the thing: Wolverine's biology doesn't matter. He's hundreds of years old. Hugh Jackman's is not. So there, you can only do steroids so long. I mean, go look at Hulk Hogan in like the 2000s run in WWE. He was still doing the steroids. He was just a bloated mess by that point. So you gotta, unfortunately, Father Time beats us all. So I'm glad that we're finally getting Jackman in the Wolverine suit. Now, one thing I will say, I hope he sticks around for 5 and 6 of Avengers, and we get to see him in the orange and brown costume. We're obviously getting the yellow one in this one. I want to see as many different. I want to see as many different versions of Hugh Jackman in different Wolverine makeups as possible. Like, that would be really cool to see. I will say that.
Well, let's talk cameos for a minute. We already know about some of the cameos that are going to be happening in Deadpool and Wolverine. Tex, what do you think is is a couple of cameos we're going to see that we have no idea is out there? Something that we're not going to see. I'm going to put this as my number one, because if they give me this I will automatically throw it into my top 10 of all time movies ever. Give me Nicolas Cage as motherfucking Ghost Rider. God damn it! I need this again in my life. I'm one of the rare breed that I love the Nick Cage Ghost Rider films, both of them. Actually, my favorite Marvel of all time. So give me Nick Cage as Ghost Rider, and I think it's kind of already been spoiled, but I need a Wesley Snipes return as Blade. I want to see him again in the role. Obviously, we're not getting that Blade movie. That's never going to happen, I don't think. So, hey, why not bring back Wesley Snipes and let him, do some more vampire slaying and sunglass flipping? That'd be kind of cool to see again. You said the idea of both those cameos is wildly intriguing for the dialogue and the jokes that Ryan Reynolds could write. For one, having Nicolas Cage show up in there playing his version of Ghost Rider from 2008 or something like that.
A long time ago.
I can see right now Ryan Reynolds writing a joke in there about his appearance in The Flash as what would have been his Superman from Superman, the Tim Burton movie. I can see that joke right itself. Yeah. Also Blade. I mean, because Ryan Reynolds was in Blade Trinity, I could see that joke. The joke will write itself. It's like so. Oh yeah.
Well, I think the Wesley Snipes is. I think it's been spoiled, but the problem is now. Obviously, I don't know either of these people, but apparently there's some beef between Wesley Snipes and Ryan Reynolds that Reynolds does not like him for some reason. I don't know why, but for money's sake, hopefully they can get over their bullshit and give us some awesome comic stuff. So I don't know. That's the two I'm really holding out for. I mean, there's a laundry list I could list, but that's the two I would really want to see.
I think for the right paycheck, Wesley Snipes would probably put that beef aside. But
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
He's not the draw he once was. The other thing that makes me think that it's really unlikely that we're going to get Wesley Snipes Blade is because they're having such problems getting their Mahershala Ali Blade even off the grid. I mean, written. I'm to say nothing about getting it filmed and finding a director that's going to stay around for more than a week. They're having so many problems with that film that I don't know if you want to put Wesley Snipes in there and draw attention to the fact that you can't seem to get your shit together with your Blade movie. So that's why I think it's less likely that you're going to see Wesley Snipes, although it'd be cool as fuck. But one of the things I heard today, and I don't think this is going to happen. Let me say this right now. I just think it would be cool as shit. Ben Affleck is rumored to be in this movie in a cameo. Most people think it's his version of Daredevil. But some people are like, wouldn't it be cool? And there's this rumor floating around. I don't think it's real. I'm giving this about a 2% chance of being real. That's being generous. That one of the dimensions they're going to hop to is going to put them in the Batcave with Ben Affleck's Batman. Here's why. Because there is now the connection between DC and Marvel because James Gunn went over there. The problem is it's not up to James Gunn whether a DC character appears in a Marvel movie. It's up to the beat counters and the executives at DC who may not want to do that, even for like a 10-second cameo. But wouldn't that be the coolest fucking thing ever?
I mean,
hey, I'll take any Batfleck I can get. He is my Batman. I would be down for that. Now, the legal logistics and hoops you have to go through to make that happen, probably not. But who freaking knows? I don't know. Now, I do have two situations I will offer in. I want y'all's input on. The first one is, now both of these include multiple versions of the same character. The first scenario is bring back Edward Norton with his Hulk, have him interacting with. Now, this is actually something that you could actually do in Secret Avengers or Secret Wars. Now that I think about it, but have the Edward Norton Hulk interacting with the Mark Ruffalo. But the more Wolverine adjacent one is, obviously we're getting my boy Tyler Mane back, aka the best Michael Myers ever, as Sabretooth. Let's bring back Liev Schreiber as well, since he played Sabretooth in the X-Men Origins Wolverine, and have like Deadpool be like, holy shit, which one are you gonna fight? Or some kind of stupid Deadpool joke, and have multiple Sabretooths within the same scene, then have those two Sabretooths fight each other. Like, what do y'all think about that?
That'd be interesting. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I don't know, Jared, what do you think? I mean, see the two Sabretooths go at it? That'd be kind of funny.
Yeah. Like
not to mention badass. I mean,
yeah.
Like we said, there's a lot of room for a lot of crap to happen, a lot of cameos, a lot of things that call back to, like we said, stuff that we want to see happen. Characters being played by other actors and putting the two of them in screen, and they're all basically, this becomes the big meme from Spider-Man where they're all just like pointing at each other like, wait a minute,
Do that with Wolverine, but use their claws to point at one another. Like, that would be funny as hell to see on screen.
Right. I mean, because canonically we know he can just sit there and flip you off, just put the one claw out, the middle one,
right.
Pointing at each other. So, yeah.
That'd be great.
How many times he's got to do that at least once in this movie?
Oh, yeah. Well, now, do y'all think that, I think the most likely, because we know we're getting the female version of Deadpool in this film, that's got to be Blake Lively, his wife, right? She's for sure playing that role. Like, there's no way they're not doing that.
I would imagine that. I mean, it could be anybody. Look, it could be Taylor Swift. I mean, it could be Blake Lively. It could be anybody. I mean, there's plenty of actors. You know what would really fuck people up?
What's that?
It just occurred to me. What if it's Scarlett Johansson? Do you know why? Do you know why that works on so many fucking levels?
Didn't you just die in this universe or some shit like that?
No. This is why that would be one of the best jokes they could possibly put out there. For one, she had her beef with Disney. We talked about that a lot, a year or two ago.
Yeah.
So she had her beef with Disney over the release of Black Widow on streaming. For two, it would be fun just to see her in a movie again, not doing Black Widow type shit, only dressed as Deadpool. For three, she is the ex-wife of Ryan Reynolds.
I didn't know they were actually. I knew they dated. I didn't know they were married. Okay, yeah, that could be. Yeah, okay. I'll buy that. I'm down for that. Oh, you know what? Well, going along those lines, what about the Josh Brolin angle here? He was obviously Thanos and Cable both. That seems like a joke that's got to happen at some point, right?
We were talking about the trivia thing. I don't know if you heard us or not, but Josh Brolin actually signed a one-picture deal to play this, which makes me wonder. Okay. And he even said that you're getting the beginning of Cable in this. You're going to be getting more of Cable down the line, more of who he is down the line. And I'm kind of wondering, it's like, what do they think? Now, granted, this was all done under Fox and not Disney Marvel. So
Disney.
they don't necessarily have to honor that contract. They could just say we're not putting in any more movies, and that's fine. Or they can buy him out or do whatever. But I still think that in one way, shape, or form, he's probably going to appear in this movie in a small cameo. It's not going to be a main part of the movie like he was in Deadpool 2 in this film. But I do think he probably shows up for a quick cameo. Maybe not even as Cable. Maybe he's just like himself walking down the street or some shit like that. I mean, because one of the fun things about Deadpool is that everything can be a joke. That there is no concept too wacky for Ryan Reynolds to not put a one-liner in there about it.
Well, and this is here's the thing that worries me the most about Deadpool Wolverine. We obviously, I think everybody is expecting the unexpected. Like anything is possible, right? I'm kind of worried that we may be building our expectations too high. Let's not forget this is Disney Marvel behind this. And I know Ryan Reynolds and the whole team and everybody else is doing this. But this is still a Disney movie, and if they're good at anything, it's working off of the anticipation to deliver a product that is subpar. I mean, how many of us were excited when the Obi-Wan Kenobi show was announced and, we're getting back Hayden Christensen and all this. And then it was a show about that woman, So I'm worried like with the speculations of, because I could speculate all day, who's going to be in this, this person, that person. But I don't want to build up so much to the point where I'm disappointed walking out of there. And I think that's a real possibility.
I worry about that too, that my own expectations are going to be my enemy in this. But honestly, that's one of the things I like about the first trailer that they dropped. It's like that pretty much, when he looks into the camera and it's like, I'm not new to pegging, but Disney is, and he just kind of looks at the camera. I was like, that to me said Disney gave us carte blanche to do whatever the fuck we want with this movie. Because even Bob Iger, who's one of the guys who has been hardcore about Disney not making R-rated content, I think once they bought all that stuff from Fox, he had to have been smart to look at it and be like, we really can't make a PG-13 Deadpool. If we're going to make any Deadpool anything, it can't be PG-13. We will ruin this entire product. And thus we're going to upset fans who are already not very happy with us right now because Phase 4 has been, by and large, a bit of a disappointment. So maybe we just say, you know what? We're going to go ahead and let Ryan Reynolds do this. Now, if Ryan Reynolds shows up in like an Avengers movie, I don't think he's going to be as murk with the mouth. Not a lot of F-bombs, not a lot of sex jokes and doing cocaine. But I do think that they're going to still allow him to be Deadpool without – they're going to – the whole thing about, not making the jokes about cocaine and stuff. I mean, that they even managed to work that into a joke. And I kind of get there's a couple lines they don't want to cross. But at the same time, Bob Iger's already said, he's like, we're going to let Deadpool be rated R. We're going to not expand into rated R content, but we just want to make sure that fans know what they're getting. So understand that when you go to see Deadpool, you are not seeing Mickey Mouse ears and, funny little musical numbers and, Mary Poppins. You're seeing Deadpool, stabbing people and making dick jokes and, doing crazy things with a unicorn, that kind of thing. So he wants to make very clear that Deadpool is going to be very rated R. And if you want to avoid that segment of the MCU from now on with your kids, you go right ahead. But we're going to give you real Deadpool the way that he's been put together by Ryan Reynolds, which I think is the best thing he could have done. The absolute best thing he could have done.
Yeah, well, there's that, and the other thing that I'm keeping in my head is I don't think this film is going to become the new norm within the MCU. I think this is more of a spectacle than the standard, if that makes any sense. I think that this film could be as crazy as possible. Like, God knows what's going to happen. We might get the guy that played Frasier back to be Beast, or Toad, or who knows. God knows who we could get back. But I think, this movie's going to make a ton of money. There's no question about that. But I think after that, it's going to be back to the standard of what the MCU is, because at the end of the day, this is still Disney. And Disney's not going to upend their entire formula, Kevin Feige or whoever. I think it will be back to business as usual, and this is just something to try to bring back a lot of fans to the MCU. Like, that's just the theory that I'm under.
I agree with that. I think it's going to work brilliantly. I think that's exactly what it's going to do. I think that's one of the reasons why this is the only MCU product we're getting this year. Because they were just like, okay, we've got this Deadpool. We can have fun with it. Ryan Reynolds can just kind of run this thing. The same way we let, John Favreau do the Iron Man thing for a long time and all that. We're going to let the guy who's steeped in this be steeped in it and just do it. And we're going to put together the rest of the shit. We're going to figure out Blade. We're going to figure out what the hell we're doing with all this other shit. Falcon and Winter Soldier, not Falcon. The Captain America Brave New World is supposed to be dropping a trailer at some point next week. I don't know why. I would imagine we'll probably get it at Comic-Con, but they were rumored to have been ready to drop a trailer today. I don't know why they would do that, though. I would wait for Comic-Con.
I was reading an article today about that Captain America film. Apparently, they have reshot that 3 times. There is enough footage that they have made for 3 different cuts of that Captain America 4 movie. God knows how pissed Harrison Ford is to keep getting called back for reshoots and putting the CGI crap on his face to be Red Hulk. He's not happy. I mean,
he doesn't care. The checks are clear. He doesn't care.
How long ago? I mean, how many times did he want to die as Han Solo just so they would stop bringing him back?
Yeah, that's the thing, though. Harrison Ford is one of those actors. He knows he's playing with house money. He's already a legend. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. Yeah. So if I don't want to do this, I won't do it. If I want to do this, I'll do it. Harrison Ford's got to that point where all he has to do is call a director and say, "Hey, I was just reading the script and I want to play this part." And they're going to be like, "Okay." It's like, you don't argue with Harrison Ford wants to be in your movie. You just say, "Okay, come on down, let's talk."
Now,
but I don't think it's going to matter.
Obviously, now Jeremy, I think you would know this better than I know me for sure. But since the end of Loki season 2, he's the god of what was he at the end of that? God of something.
I think we just call him the
stories?
Loki who remains now. He just kind of the timeline.
Yeah, he was. I think he was the god of stories. Do we get a Loki in this? Do you think?
I think Tom Hiddleston himself kind of said like it's you give the answer, the typical answer of like, well, it's not out of the realm of possibility, and it's like he probably wouldn't say no to coming back, but it's like that's just kind of where we left him, and that's just kind of where he is now. I'm like, okay,
maybe he'd be better safe for an Avengers movie, though.
I don't know, but maybe since now he is quite literally holding like the timelines in his hands. I mean, maybe you'd see him for something. I don't know. Like,
well, that's why I say. I mean, because
just for fun.
We obviously know that the TVA is from the trailers that we've seen, a big part of this story. So it would feel kind of natural for Loki to as well be part of that story. That's why I wonder if he plays any part in this at some point. Hell, is Owen Wilson going to be in this? I mean, hell, he's still a TVA guy, I'm sure. So who knows at this point?
I think it's unlikely we're going to see Loki in this. Kevin Feige has said that he has ideas that he wants to try to get Loki and Thor together again. And so, I mean, down the line, I don't know if this is the movie where you do that. I mean, because one of the risks that you run with Deadpool and Wolverine is like you get to the point where you're just smashing cameos in there just as eye candy, and it kind of bogs the movie down. So it's like you want to have the cameos that we heard about, the cameos that we expect, but at the same time you don't want it to drag down the point of the movie, which is at this point what we know is that Deadpool is trying to save his reality or his world. So you don't want anything to get in the way of the primary objective of the film. So that's why it's like, because a lot was made about Patrick Stewart being Professor X in the last Doctor Strange movie. And a lot of people were like, oh my God, it's not just going to be a cameo. He's got to play a significant role. It's multidimensional, blah, 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 blah. And in reality, he's really only in like the one scene, maybe 2 scenes inside the other Wanda's mind and all that. And then it's done. He was significant to the moment, but not to the movie. And I kind of think that's what a lot of these cameos are going to be, is they're going to be significant to the moment, but not to the movie. They're going to kind of come and go. And they're all they're going to be sprinkled in amongst the actual body of the film, which is actually telling the real story. But yeah, if you cram too much shit in here, you end up bogging it down. So if they can make it work for the movie, great. If not, then leave it out. It's not like we're never going to see Tom Hiddleston back anyway.
Well, and that's my main thing. I mean, obviously we got cameos in the Flash, right? We had CGI renders of cameos in the Flash. I don't want those to be that. I only want a cameo in this film. A, if it makes sense for the story, and B, it's actually the person. Like, it's like we talked about on the last one. I don't want to see a cameo of a CGI Adam West. If the person is dead, let them stay dead. I think that's better. I know it worked at one time with Princess Leia, and I forget what Star Wars it was, one of the newer ones. I don't know, but there's so many options of live actors that you can do. Let the dead ones stay gone. So it just I know this thing is going to be a spectacle, little to no story. I think we got most of what the story is going to be is, the Deadpool's world is dying. This Wolverine, he failed his world, but he can redeem himself by saving Deadpool. So I think that's the most story we're going to get. I don't think the plot's going to get in the way of the story. It's one of those kind of films, but which is fine. That's not a bad thing. I mean, I don't need it. I'm not a plot heavy needed person. Y'all know this, but I hope the cameos make sense and it's not just, oh, here's blah 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 Cyclops that whatever you haven't seen him in 10 years or whatever. So I just hope it makes sense, kind of like you were saying.
Jeremy, give me an out of the box cameo that you think is going to come in this movie. I mean, something that maybe we don't see coming right now.
I'm trying to think of the actress's name, and I can't off the top of my head, but I hope we get Squirrel Girl. I'm not going to explain myself further.
Squirrel Girl. Have we ever seen her in live action before? I don't think so,
Yep.
Right?
That's why I want it. Because if you Google it, she is the only person to have actually defeated Thanos, and it says you don't need to know how. She just did. So there's plenty of jokes there that can be made. Fuck it, I don't care. I just want Squirrel Girl because it'd be funny.
I dig it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what makes sense and kind of correlate it with what I want to see, but I mean, there's just so much. There's so much potential. I don't know that I could pick one or two and just kind of make them make sense in a cohesive enough way to where I can make a good argument that this person might actually show up. I mean, I think we're all kind of resigned to the fact that Patrick Stewart's going to be in this for a minute. I don't think he's going to have a significant role, probably less than what he was in for Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness.
No, but does he die again, though? That's the question. If you're bringing back Patrick Stewart, does he die in this one?
If he dies, it's going to be in the most hilarious way imaginable.
Well, let's see.
Like
in X-Men 3,
him dying would be. It's like I don't have a problem with him killing him again, but because you've already done the death the way that you did it, like in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, which I thought was handled very well. It's like you can't just do another significant, meaningful, like shocking death. It has to be something like all the jokes when the Endgame was coming out that like Ant-Man was going to climb in Thanos' ear and just expand and blow his brains out. It had to be something goofy and stupid like that. You know what I mean? I feel like it has to be ridiculous.
If you want goofy and stupid, here's how I do it. Wolverine and Deadpool are trotting along doing their thing. Somehow they run into Patrick Stewart, Professor X. Deadpool says, "Holy shit, haven't you been in 15,000 of these movies? We all know that you're going to die anyways." He pulls out his pistol, just shoots him in the head, and gets it over with. We know the death is coming. Deadpool just go ahead and kills him and gets it out of the way. That could play for a laugh. I like if done right, with the Deadpool.
Well,
there's ways to do it.
We are in some way, shape, or form. People have said anyway. We're going to be getting maybe not the point of the movie. We're going to be getting some kind of scene of Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. There's going to be some kind of a scene that's supposed to be like that, but not like full on. So, I mean, maybe that's what we see. Maybe he rolls in and he starts to give like some pointed commentary to Deadpool, and Deadpool just pulls out his sword, just chops his head off. He goes, "No, you had your chance. Get the fuck out of my face." It has to be something like that.
Well, that's what I was going to say. When it comes to Deadpool kills the universe, and I know Kevin Feige has said there will never be a reboot in Marvel. He even put that in one of the books that they did a couple years ago. That he would consider a reboot a failure, like which whatever I think is. I think that's stupid to paint yourself into that kind of corner. But hey, who am I? I'm not Kevin Feige, so I would. If I were doing this, I would take this opportunity to. Because we've heard Bob Chapek say for the 15th time, we're focusing less on quantity and more, or less on quantity and more on quality. He said it every time there's a Disney investor call. I don't know how many times I've heard it over the number of years. So take this opportunity. I would do 3 Marvel movies: Deadpool 3, Avengers 5 and 6. It would be my apocalypse trilogy of Marvel. You do Deadpool kills the Marvel universe, and this starts it all off, some cataclysmic event, and it pays off in the next 2 movies. Take a couple-year break, reboot, recast some roles, bring back the actual versions, not necessarily like Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, but give us the actual comic versions of these characters of Captain America and Iron Man. Give everybody a break from Marvel. It's not like Disney doesn't mind losing money. They do it on every product that they do. Hell, they spent $200 million on an Acolyte show that everybody's crapping upon. So take a break, hit the reboot button, and rebuild your universe. Start in the 60s with that new Fantastic Four movie. That's set in the 60s, right? It is a fresh starting off point, and you can tell all kinds of stories. But I don't work for Disney.
All I know is it's off the hook. It's like I don't need another trailer. I don't need any spoilers. I'm just ready. We are 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away as of today, and I've already decided that we're going Thursday night. We're not going to have a stream that Thursday. We're going to see it. I'm going to see it again Friday, and then probably at some point again either Saturday or Sunday. It's going to be a Deadpool and Wolverine triple feature for me on opening weekend. So if they break any box office records, Ryan Reynolds will have me to thank for that, and he better send me a bottle or 2 of the aviation gin because I've been meaning to go pick some of that up, and I keep forgetting. But before we get out of here, there was one piece of news that came down to the entertainment world today, not related to Deadpool, I didn't want to discuss. One of the most iconic scenes in horror ever is this scene from The Shining, the Here's Johnny scene. Pure terror. I don't know that there is too many. I can't think of 3 or 4 scenes that are just more terror and nightmare inducing than this scene. Most of this movie. Shelley Duvall did pass away today at the age of 75, relatively young. She's had her health problems. She's had some mental issues over the years, but had managed to find her way back into some small independent films over the last 3 or 4 years. Very, very sad. Again, it's hard. It's hard not to think about anything from the 70s without thinking of Shelley Duvall. She was the it girl in 70s movies. Jeremy, I would say this is a little bit before your time. It's probably a little bit before my time, to be honest. But she is so iconic. And like I said, this scene transcends generations. This is pure terror. This is nightmare fuel right here. And that scene, him looking through the door, here's Johnny, is something that resonates through the decades. What do you think of the career of Shelley Duvall?
Yeah, I saw that earlier today, and all I could say is I hope she's finally at peace now, because like we said, she'd had quite a bit of number of problems, mental issues and whatnot throughout the rest of her life, and I'm like, you know what? As much as I love The Shining and as amazing of a movie as it is, and as iconic as that scene just itself, let alone the whole movie. It's like she didn't deserve that. Thanks, Kubrick. There's being unorthodox, and then there's kind of there's even being an asshole about it. But then there's being a straight up asshole, no holds barred. I'm like, man, I don't think she deserved that, even for the sake of art and whatever you want to fucking justify it with. But yeah, it's sad to hear. Because I remember seeing her. It was a few years ago. I was seeing her on I don't know if I think it was an interview of some sorts, and I'm just like, man, I forget just how night and day. You know, you're talking about like her height of her career in the 70s. It's like to seeing her just a few years ago. It's like, man, it's kind of sad. But you know, like I said, you can't say she, you know, it's someone who's pretty iconic. I don't remember it was you I talked to about this when we were. I thought it'd be a hilarious segue, but not right in the middle of Deadpool. But when we were talking about Russell, it's like you believe you get to see this kid out in the street just anywhere. It's Shelley Duvall, but I'm like, you could believe that like you could just see her, like she's this mom who's just, you know, you could see her on the street and believe that, yeah, she's getting chased around this hotel by her deranged husband. You know what I mean? Like it fit, and again, like that, yeah, that scene's forever just like seared into everyone's mind for good reason. But yeah, rest in peace. Like genuinely, I hope she's finally in a better place now.
Yeah, Tex, how about you? Again, one of the iconic scenes in all of horror is that is the Johnny scene in Shining. Yet Shelley Duvall, such a great actress, so many ups and downs to her personal life that really derailed her career in the 80s. What are some of your thoughts on her life and career?
Yeah, Shelley Duvall, her performance in, I mean, The Shining, my God. I mean, how many, there's no praise that I can give it that hasn't been said a million times deservedly, but the way she was truly afraid in that movie. And like Jeremy just touched on, you know, Kubrick pushed, I mean, go back to that era of film. Look at what Friedkin did in The Exorcist and how they were firing off live rounds. And they broke somebody's back in that movie. The torture that Shelley Duvall went through in The Shining, she was tortured for her art, and it shows because even to this day, when you watch her in that film, you believe everything that she's in, and you can see the sadness and the crazy in her eyes, which is why that role is so powerful. And yeah, I mean, I guess you have to count her as one of the sad stories of Hollywood for how her life ended up. But you know what? Unfortunately, that's just the way it goes sometimes. But for her to have contributed what she did, especially with The Shining, she will never be forgotten. She will always be treasured and loved. And I mean, even Mia Goth, the star of the Maxine trilogy franchise, whatever you want to call it, she was asked, I mean, like weeks ago, and this was, you know, obviously, you know, Shelley Duvall just died today. She was asked if you could play any role in any movie. She said that she would play Shelley Duvall from The Shining in, you know, some shape, form, or fashion. So for even today's female icon, you know, actresses, icons, whatever in horror. Hang on. Sorry about that. But no, for even today's actresses to want to be Shelley Duvall really speaks to her legacy and how she'll never be forgotten. I mean, in life, it may have ended tragically, but you know what? Unfortunately, bad things happen, and you know, I'm just glad. I'm grateful that she contributed the art that she did, even if she had to suffer for it, because it's tremendous work. So, I'm a fan.
Yeah, there's a difference, and because you know I'm an idiot like everybody else out there. I tend to forget sometimes there's a difference between horror and terror. That horror, to me anyway, horror is, you know, the blood and guts, the jump scares, the kind of stuff we get from Terrifier and stuff like that. Then there's terror. I mean, terror is the stuff, you know, I was talking to somebody today about, you know, we were talking about Quiet Place. And he was saying that he has trouble getting into movies where there's not a lot of dialogue, where it's just quiet. And I'm like, well, that builds tension, that builds terror. So that when the thing happens, you're even more scared because you've built up in your mind the things that you can't hear, the things that you don't know are out there. That's what builds real terror. And you know, once again, you know, you look at this picture and it's like that's terror. that's terror. Yeah. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, the domestic violence angle alone is something that's terrifying. I mean, when a husband goes nuts and tries to harm his wife or spouse or lover or whatever, that's terrifying in and of itself. But then you've got this guy who's gone, psychotic over the course of the movie, like Jack Nicholson's character has done. It's like she conveys in this moment real terror and fear and uncertainty and all the things that you can imagine a woman going through as this is happening to her. It's that to me is one of the best acting jobs that's ever been done by an actress. I don't know who can convey that today that can convey that and make it look so honest as she does in that moment. And you factor in how much of that was her. Probably most of it. Part of it was probably Kubrick's direction. Let's face it, it's a Kubrick movie. Part of it was, is the source material from Stephen King, being kind of a weird guy himself, and he, his mind is full of terror.
Yeah, kind of.
She was the perfect vessel to give us that moment of terror. I mean, so for all the scream queens out there, the Jamie Lee Curtis, the Heather Langenkamps, all this, I mean, she has to be one of maybe not the Mount Rushmore, but I mean, she's one of the OGs, man. She set the table for everything else to come.
It's when you talk about The Shining, to me, you could technically call that a slasher film. I mean, when you've got a crazy guy with a sharp weapon coming at you with it, you're in a slasher film by definition. But The Shining is such a psychological film. It's not like a Halloween or a Friday. It's on another level. It's on a complete different plane. And Jack Nicholson, if it wasn't for that film, we wouldn't have gotten American Psycho, I don't think. It's very much in that same vein of it. It takes a horror slasher aspect, but takes it into another direction. And what Kubrick Kubrick was a genius. I mean, go back and watch some of his films. He was just there are 4 or 5 different horror elements within The Shining, from, the guy getting blown by a guy in a bear costume to what was going on with the kid to, so many different things. There's a reason people have spent, decades breaking that thing down, theorizing it, because there's so much there. And for Shelley Duvall, she's kind of like we see a lot of it through her eyes as the victim, as the one pure thing that's here just trying to protect her son. And when she's literally in hell, it's such a powerful performance for her to do what she did. And The Shining, Kubrick's, God, he's a legend from, 2001 to this, to Eyes Wide Shut. So many things. So many good Kubrick films, but she's not hurting anymore, as they say, whenever something like this happens. So
there's a YouTube channel called Grim Collective, and I put the link in the chat for those of you who want to see this video. It's this guy and his wife, and they had sat and talked with Shelley Duvall about 1.5 years or 2 years ago. Because they were, I guess, involved somehow in an independent film that was being shot, I think, actually in Texas, to be absolutely honest. I don't recall. It's been a while since I've watched this interview. But they actually caught up with her and talked with her for about a half an hour, and she talked about how, even though she didn't like the experience of doing The Shining, she did love Nicholson and thought that he was absolutely brilliant and kept up with him for many years after.
There's no doubt Jack Nicholson's brilliant. You can't argue that shit.
She talked about fairy tale theater, which is another thing which is a thing that she had really done during the 80s. Telling the fairy tales and stuff like that. How she had like raised money to try to get that thing funded so they could keep going on. How it's on DVD now and stuff because of the strings that she pulled, phone calls that she made. But she was getting it back into doing it some independent films, doing a little bit of acting just as kind of as a passion thing. To myself, it's great that she was able to get past the stuff that. Because it's hard to go back to the thing that probably gave you your anxiety and gave you your problems and to try to enjoy it as an art form again. Mm-hmm. And in them talking to her, it was evident that she was kind of in an okay place now. To say she was cured, no, I'm not an expert enough to say she was cured of anything. But that she seemed like she was in a pretty good place. Obviously, the years have taken its toll. At that point, she was 70-something years old. She was 71 or 72.
Oh, yeah, she did. But she looked nothing like she used to. Even facially. You look completely different person you could have believed.
If you guys get a chance, for one, the Grim Collective is a really fun channel to watch anyway, so check them out on YouTube if you can. But these two people sitting there just talking, where they're just on the side of the road somewhere while she's sitting in her car. They're just jabbered back and forth. and she was kind enough to let them record it so that they could just put it on their channel. And it was a really honest and frank conversation that made me like her even more. And what another thing that gets me is, as I was thinking about it earlier, I talk a lot about one of the reasons I like Robert Englund is because he was playing Freddy Krueger and Willie from V at almost the same time. Two diametrically opposite characters. Do you know what else came out the same year as The Shining? Papa. That terribly awful movie where she plays Olive Oil.
I was like, it came out in 1980. It was Empire Strikes Back.
I was thinking 79 was Shining. Okay, never mind. I was off by a year.
Well, even the same year or within a year, but I think she shot both those films back to back. So she went from playing, this role in The Shining to playing Olive Oil in one of the most god-awful films of ever made, but it's still so fun to watch. I
can't say I've ever seen that movie all the way through, to be honest.
Oh, my God, it's awful, but it's still so fun to watch. It's like, I wouldn't even call it one of the movies that's so bad it's good. It is this strange piece of art that it's developed over the years. It was made by Robert Altman, the same guy who did the original MASH movie with back in the 70s. It's Robin Williams before Mork and Mindy it's during Mork and Mindy. I think he was making Mork and Mindy. He filmed this in between seasons. So it's like Robin Williams before he really became the Robin Williams that he would eventually become in the 80s and 90s. It's just to go from one character to the other like that. It's like that's the kind of thing that would probably send somebody into a mental tailspin. But she's just so good in both these. It's like she's the one bright. She outshines Robin Williams in that movie. Her talent, her screen presence, and everything. Remember, like I said, Robin Williams was not quite Robin Williams yet. He was still on the come up, but it's like she was already well into her career, big time A-lister, in the late 70s into the 80s. So, God, she was so good in that.
There's another aspect to when it comes to Shelley. We all know the dark side of Hollywood and some of the players that are within it. And a lot of we've heard so many of the tales of horror that have came out of that. And some people, they just get affected to it negatively. I don't think all of her problems were just from The Shining. I think her and Hollywood just didn't click. It was not we know Hollywood's a disgusting place. It was full of nasty people. And I'd be willing to bet there were some stories that she didn't tell, and I'm just purely speculating here just for whatever purpose. But, there's some people enter that world, and once they see what it is, they're never the same. And I can't help but feel like that played into this on some level. But I don't know. It's, especially that time in Hollywood when a lot of things were left unchecked and there wasn't, the world watching that side of it because, how could they? We didn't have the internet and the means and the possibilities. So, whatever the reason was, she'll always be remembered. She can, at least hold on to that, I guess. So.
Yeah, rest in peace to Shelley Duvall. Again, just hope her soul finds peace. Thank you for sharing your gift with all of us. Some amazing performances to remember her by. So I really hope that if you have time over the course of the next days and weeks, as you're preparing for Deadpool and Wolverine, you'll take a minute to go watch some of her movies and check out that interview if you get a chance. Again, it's on the Grim Collective. That's a fun channel to watch. I've watched them a lot. They do a lot of they do a couple interviews. They also go around and check out filming locations, different movies. I actually found them because they did a filming location video on The Lost Boys, which they actually went and checked out. Cool. Not just some of the places in Southern California they filmed it, but some of the places in Santa Cruz, California, where I grew up, where they filmed the movie. And so anytime you put Santa Cruz on video on a YouTube, I'm gonna give it a watch. But it's a pretty good video, and I really like their approach. They're film fans like we are. They're cool people to watch. So go check out them as well. The link is in the comments, so go check out that video. But that seems like a good place to start wrapping things up. Jeremy, let me get your final thoughts on Deadpool 2 as we get ready for Deadpool and Wolverine.
We're not ready. I don't have enough white pants in the world. I might need to have some brown pants. I might shit myself as excited.
White pants? Okay. Well, Deadpool is a very sexual character, so I guess whatever floats your boat there, partner. Oh, good.
Like I said, two really. Like I said, there's few movies that do get a sequel that are just as good, if not better, than the first. And honestly, like I said, this feels like a good follow up to the first movie. And again, I don't know where to begin with 3, but we'll see soon. The Deadpool movies are worth watching. Like I said, if it's your kind of F-bomb laced tea, then yeah, I'd say definitely watch it.
Tex, how about you? I know you missed the body of the show, getting home late from work. Give me some of your quick thoughts on Deadpool 2.
Yeah, as good as the first one is, this one's that much better. They got my boy Juggernaut in there, my favorite of all the mutants. He was always my favorite. He was always my favorite bad guy, and Colossus was always my favorite good guy. So getting to see them two in this iteration of them in the film was a lot of fun. I thought the jokes worked. Having Brad Pitt for like 3 seconds, I thought was fucking hilarious. Just, oh, here's a movie star. Poof, he's gone. That was kind of fun. But yeah, definitely worth a watch. The main kid in this is very annoying, and I don't like him. I wanted Cable to kill him the whole time because I hated him. But yeah, this is a bigger, better version of the first Deadpool film, and like Jeremy said, I can't wait for Deadpool 3, mainly for the Wolverine's stuff and what we possibly else might get, but I'm here for it. So
yeah, I agree with Tex. I mean, it's pretty rare that a sequel at least matches, let alone it in many ways outdoes the original, and this is one of the ones that does. I mean, I still don't know if I can stomach the idea of putting it up there with like an Aliens or a Terminator or a Top Gun Maverick, but I mean, there's an argument to be made. I'll have to pour over that debate in my head internally, in my head, in my heart, to see if it belongs at that level. I mean, but there's an argument to be made. I got to admit, I think Ryan Reynolds was always kind of getting to this. I mean, between Van Wilder and all the other goofy shit that he's done over the course of his career, he's always kind of played some version of Wade Wilson in almost everything that he's done.
Yeah.
Especially in his comedic parts. I mean, he's done some more serious film, Amityville, things like that. But I mean, it seems like in every other movie that he's done, he's always been kind of working his way up to Wade Wilson, and he finally managed to make it happen in the way that should have happened. And Deadpool is just getting better and better every time he makes a movie. And this movie, Deadpool and Wolverine, it's looking like it's going to be another big step up the ladder. So I'm really excited for what's coming. I love this movie. I think it was very well done. So many things about this movie, just individually as a film, were better done. Like I said, I think it was a better storyline. I think it was much more involved. I think it was a bit more of a complete film that way. Whereas Deadpool 1, it was just all about Ryan Reynolds being Deadpool, and like, oh, you sprinkle in there the stuff that he's after Ajax, but I mean, it was really just about Ryan Reynolds being Deadpool on camera. This one was way more put together, and I thought it was a great movie. AJ Rader also points out something I read on the way home, actually. Benji Gregory, who played the young son in Alf, the TV show in the 80s, passed away suddenly today. I read that, but I didn't see exactly what happened. So yes, it's
I hadn't heard that one.
It's been tough for some of these celebrities lately, man. The one thing that frightens me about this, Alfred passed away.
Who's going to be the third? They always come in threes, man.
Yeah, Benji Gregory, if I read the headline right, is actually 2 years younger than me, which got me a little sweaty.
Really?
I'm like, scary. Make sure I take my vitamins in the morning and gotta schedule another.
Going to do some extra push-ups before
just to make sure.
You better start getting jacked like Hugh Jackman. So
yeah, man, 5 pounds of chicken every meal, every day. Just picking up heavy shit. Gotta get cut like Hugh Jackman. But thanks to all of you for coming and hanging out. We very much appreciate it. Jeremy, where can the folks at home find you, my friend?
I'm usually here Thursday, Tuesday, obviously, because I brought myself into a corner with that name. That's obviously not my name, but that's just my lazy writing. Yeah, I'm nowhere.
I can't wait for Captain Grimpool 3. It's going to be great.
Well, I have to think of something clever since it's just called Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm like, I got to think of something now. Can't just put a 3. That's lazy. Yeah, I'm nowhere because I don't do anything. So, sorry to disappoint.
Into the shape of Lone Star State, my man Tex. Where can the folks at home find you, sir?
I'm here whenever I'm not being a slave to the system. Yeah, I don't have a recommendation for this week, for this episode, but I have started working on my, because Halloween is 12 months out of the year. I have started to work on my 31 for 31 list of watching for the watch list for this year's Halloween October. So I will blast that out onto the Twitters, and Frank, I'll send it to Frank. We'll just do something with it. I don't know. If you care to see what I will be watching this Halloween, the list is starting, and feel free to post in the comments anything that y'all think I should be watching. My requirement is the film either has to be made in October or came out in October or be about Halloween. That's the rules this year. So suggestions are welcome. So we'll go from there.
Yeah, it actually just occurred to me one of the movies we haven't reviewed yet is The Shining. I think in the wake of Shelley Duvall's passing, and with scary season right around the corner, only literally a matter of weeks away at this point, if you're Tex, then maybe that's something that we need to tackle this scary season.
I'm literally going to my haunt this weekend. You really don't think it's already started?
It's already started. We're already.
I'm looking at a wall of horror merch. Don't tell me Halloween is not forever. I live it every day. All right, that's all I'm saying. So.
Well, Spirit Halloween starts to open their stores like what, next week? I mean,
no.
Down here,
like maybe a
down
week
here,
fucking Halloween. It's annoying.
They're like the 1st of August, like within the first week of August is when Spirit starts opening up down here, usually. So we'll see.
September, but yeah,
how would those stores not make money being open year round? I just don't get it.
That's what I keep saying.
Yeah, I would live there. Like, they could rotate merch, different franchises throughout the year. They could sell Jaws stuff in the summertime, sell Michael Myers in October, Nightmare Before Christmas at both Halloween and Christmas. I mean, come on, this stuff writes itself here, baby. Come on now.
Right. And on Tuesday, you will see us back here. Jeremy will be in rare form. I'm curious as to what Jeremy's cosplay is going to be on Tuesday as we come back here to break down the 1996 smash hit Twister. We're going to be taking a break from Deadpool and Wolverine, all the stuff Marvel, so we can tackle the 1996 classic Twister. And then, obviously, Twisters will be coming out just before. I think we're about, a week away from that one, Jeremy? Before Twisters comes out. So
yeah, Twisters, that is next, and then Deadpool, yeah.
So
Twisters is on the 16th, and then Deadpool's on the 26th, or the weekend after, I think, or something like that.
I think it's next weekend Twisters comes out, and then the weekend after Deadpool Wolverine comes out.
Yeah, I think we're 2 weeks away from that.
It's gonna be a great couple of weeks in cinema for us. I have a feeling.
I don't know what you want me to do. Do you want me to wear like a fucking blue button down and wear it about 5 buttons too fucking low like an asshole like Bill Paxton did? There's not much I can really do with the cosplay of that when they all just look normal in normal dress.
I think I think you will do something special. You will make it happen.
I mean,
just wear your regular clothes.
Shirt. I can't really take that from him.
Just wear your regular clothes, but stand in front of a leaf blower right before you go on camera. So you're all just blown to shit.
Well, I can't, and I'll violate YouTube's rules if I come in here naked with just a Jack Daniels bottle and I huck it at the fucking screen. So
hey,
we might get 800 more subscribers, but I'm just saying,
we'll only be able to see you from like the navel up. As long as it's just the navel up, we can just imagine the rest.
It'll be like they use in the Hollywood industry. The nudity will be implied. So we'll know. We just won't see.
Yeah, I'll just take 2 post-it notes and write the and then extreme on the other side. Just cover that out. That's what I'll do.
That's gonna be awesome. But Rachel's saying she goes no.
Rachel's just all like, well, that's what I'm saying, right? We won't see anything. It's implied. We don't know what's there. As long as he doesn't stand up, we're good. Like, he just has to make sure his butt is glued to that chair, So, it's fine.
Hey, we got Jack Daniels in there. I don't know what you're yelling about.
Hey, yeah.
We have to end this stream like right now.
Hey, it's all good, man.
But yeah, definitely come and hang out with us next week as we talk about Twister. That's one that me and Jerry have been looking forward to for a while.
Oh my God.
We put it off intentionally because we wanted to do
Yeehaw, people will reign. The rest of July.
Other way. Yeah, there was no other way to do this movie except for right in front of Twister. So we've been putting it off intentionally. So the next couple of reviews are going to be hot. They're going to be something you guys are going to enjoy. But thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us. We very much appreciate it. Thank you, my co-host, for being so amazing as always.
Yeah.
Adios.
Those nipples are mine. That's the perfect comment to end the show.
I don't like the corner I've been painted into.
TSS says the end credits for this film are going to be hilarious.
Never paint Grimm into a corner. You never paint him into a corner.
I wonder. Dude, that's going to be my tagline. It's going to be eminent ruinage, man. Eminent ruinage.
Eminent ruinage.
I dig the harsh truth Deadpool crossover logo. I like that. I like the work.
Thanks to Brady for that one. Brooding Gamer killing it with these
titles lately. Yeah, Brooding Gamer nailing it with the graphics here. That's some sharp work there, young man. I like what you're doing here.
Bye, everybody.